Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including anime, sometimes, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Andy Potter.
Hello.
John McKenna.
Hi, everybody.
And Michael Smith.
I do this for you.
Well, we'll see what you're doing for them, which is anime. We don't typically talk anime here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Sometimes, not specifically not doing it, but we tend to focus on Western animation. But today we are getting into the current season of anime, the fall 2018 season, shows that have been premiering in September and October of 2018. These shows are currently airing, and most of about 5 or 6 episodes aired. We'll be giving you our mid-year review of this season of anime. A few of us happen to have been watching a lot of animes this season. We're enjoying a lot of them, and we're going to tell you our thoughts on them, including what's our anime of the season, what's the best one we're watching so far. Me, John, and Andy have seen a handful of shows, and special guest Michael has seen every single anime that's airing this year, so he will be a definitive source for every show. We're not going to go through every single show, but we're going to go through the most prominent ones and the ones multiple of us are watching, and then Michael can hit on some other prominent ones at the end that only he's seeing. So
that's not a hyperbole, by the way. Michael literally has watched everything.
Yeah, check out his
for all of you. You're welcome.
Yes. Suffered, hopefully enjoyed some, which we'll get to. But check out Michael's written review, 12,000 words on this whole season of anime at overlyanimated.com. You click on articles, you can find that if you want more extensive thoughts on every anime that's airing this year. But yes, we're getting into a bunch of shows, including shows like Zombieland, Saga, Bloom Into You, Bunny Girl Senpai, Release the Spyce, Sword Art Online. I'm very excited for that. And some other Gridman. So all of your favorites this season will be giving you our thoughts on good and bad. So find us at overlyanimated.com. And we have an anime feed if you want to subscribe to our occasional anime podcast. iTunes, search for Overly Animated Anime, you'll find that, and subscribe to our YouTube. You won't miss any of our podcasts. YouTube.com/overlyanimated. So, in terms of spoilers, we're going to generally keep this on the spoiler light side. I mean, these shows have only aired half of their episodes. These shows are currently airing, so there's not really too many spoilers. We don't know what the endings are yet. And for the record, we're recording this on November 8th. The 6th episode of Zombieland Saga came out today. So this is the context if you're listening in the future. We've not seen the second half of these shows yet. We're going to try to not give too mci spoilers, but we might, if you want to be super cautious though, you might want to tune out after the beginning. I don't think it's going to be too bad, honestly. Most of these shows don't have a high amount of spoilers, and we'll be careful not to spoil anything major, basically, is what I'll say. But that being said, we're going to get into the first thing is our anime of the season. This is, what's the anime of the season? That's what I always hear in the anime community. What's the best anime of the season? So we're not at the end yet. We don't know what for sure will be, but we know what is currently our favorite of the shows we are watching. So that's really the question we're answering. Because except for Michael, who can give you the definitive anime of the season, the rest of us are only watching 5 or 6 shows. So what's the favorite among shows you're watching? Let's start with Andy. Sword Art Online?
No, definitely not.
What?
But Andy, it's your favorite
oh
show.
My God. I am shocked.
You watch every episode of every season.
Okay,
I'm going to get to this later. This is not the time. But Dylan, I can't talk about Banana Fish here, correct? That's not included, right?
Yeah, but premiering in September, October of this year. Yeah.
Okay. Then in that case, I'd say my favorite right now is Bunny Girl Senpai, which I would not have predicted at all.
Yes, Rascal something Bunny Girl Senpai, yes.
Yeah, it's really, the concept is one of the most stupid things I've ever read, and there's a lot of fan service that I could do completely without. But at the heart of the show, there's a really good romance, and I kind of hate it for that, because it actually made me feel things. I felt for the characters, and it shouldn't be good, but it is, and I kind of hate it.
Wow, rave reviews of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai from Andy.
I don't want to like it, Dylan, because it has so many problematic elements, but it's good.
Andy's favorite show is, yet again, something he hates to watch.
I sense a theme with this, but yeah. And Andy's also on all of our Ruby podcasts. I think we have a common element with the Andy character here. Yeah. Okay, so
Andy's so good.
Andy's in on Bunny Girl Senpai. John, what is your anime of the season so far?
Again, this is an anime I didn't think I was going to like, but I'm going with Zombieland Saga. And I'm going to have to give Michael credit for this, because when he described it to me in the beginning, it's like this is about an idol group who are zombies, and they're doing death metal. And from my Gretzko podcast, I love death metal.
No, pass on that.
but this one was surprising to me because it's just the characters are really great. The concept is just banana land weird. It's teenage zombie girls have to form an idol group to save Saga, which is a prefecture in Japan, and they do all these weird stunts to stay famous. It's a parody of Japanese idol culture, which I wish I knew more of, and this show actually makes me want to learn more of it. But it just has great, interesting plot lines. The characters are all hilarious. The slapstick is brilliant. And of all these animes, this is the one that I actually look forward to seeing the day it comes out. Like some I could wait a day and I won't feel too much. I almost have to see the next episode of this anime, and I'm really glad to have seen it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's one a lot of people are fans of. We'll dive into that in more detail in a little bit. Michael, you can actually definitively weigh in here. So, tell us why we're wrong and what is the true anime of the season.
I mean, I can't tell you why you're wrong, Dylan. You haven't
gone yet. Yeah, that's true.
But okay, I'll tell John and Andy why they're wrong, and then I can tell you why you're wrong after you tell me.
Yes, fair. Okay.
The best anime this season is very clearly one that none of you are watching, and I mean none of you, including the listeners, because this show is criminally underrated, and it is called Double Decker, Doug and Kirill, which is a dumb little show that's like CSI with anime cops, and it's also secretly the most progressive anime of the season, except for the one that is literally gay. There's just a lot of stuff in it. There's some gay cops, there's a trans character, there's a pro-union episode. The narrator is great. The main character is stupid. Everyone knows he's stupid and makes fun of him for it. And yet they're all just kind of wholesome, and it's really fun.
Nice.
It's the best.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I did not know the show existed until Michael started raving about it recently. So, but yeah, we'll get into a little bit more detail on it later. But yeah, that apparently out of all 50, that is the number one. So that's high praise here from Michael on Double Decker. For me, my anime of the season is Release the Spyce. This is the show that by far I am enjoying the most out of, the six-ish shows animes that I'm watching this season. And it's really the anime that I've enjoyed the most in a long time, honestly. I'm not going to claim that this is like the best of the six that I'm watching, but it is definitely the most entertaining, which is what I'm looking to get out of anime. I think first and foremost is, because really, maybe a reason why we don't cover anime as frequently. I don't think most animes are like top tier television. I don't think that's blasphemous to say, but, in absence of that, what I want is highly entertaining, shows, and Release the Spyce is so much fun. It moves really fast. It's basically totally Spies the anime. It's these, six, high school girls who are for some reason, super secret spies, and, they go on, these trips and defeat like drug lords and stuff, and, they take spice and they chomp on it, and then their eyes glow up, and then they have like super strength and stuff. There's also like pairings between the three mentor and mentees, and it's like borderline, not quite actually explicitly queer, but definitely up to that point that anime gets. It's really
not
just
explicitly queer.
Yeah,
it's like a +5 on the anime gay scale.
It's basically it's as much as you can get while being anime gay, not explicit representation, but almost to that point.
It was as subtle as a hippo on roller skates.
Yeah, well, it's not subtle. It's just that they're not like saying that they're girlfriends or anything. Is what I mean.
It's not as gay as the one anime that's
which
actually gay.
Yeah, Bloom into You, which we'll be getting to later. But yeah, Release the Spyce is just a ton of fun, and we'll get into it more in a little bit. So yes, there's our favorites. I'm glad we had 4 separate shows there, and there's also some other prominent ones we haven't yet talked about as well. But I think first let's dive into more detail here on Zombieland Saga. This is maybe one of the most popular ones, I think, of the season. Maybe the ones that any random person listening would have a highest chance of watching right now. We're going to spend too much time on each show because we have a lot to get through. Zombieland Saga is these I don't know how many are there? 6, 7?
There are 7. You cannot forget
the legendary Tai. Yeah. Because I have a lot to say about her, but
also cannot forget best boy producer Coon.
Yes, producer Coon, Sean's. Yeah, he's the best character. But yeah, they're zombies. They died. They're now zombies, but they're idols. That's all you really need to know about Zombieland Saga.
My one-sentence description for Zombieland Saga is Zombieland Saga has the best first episode of any show this season, and you should all go watch it.
Yeah,
that's not a stretch.
even if you're not gonna watch the rest of the show, you should at least watch the first minute, and hopefully the rest of the first episode, the second episode as well. But at least go watch the first minute because it's hilarious and fantastic. The
best opening to anything this entire season.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah, probably the best first minute of an anime I've seen, which is not, I mean, it's in 1 minute, but, it's really fantastic. This is like the meme show, I guess, of the year, but it's also like a serious, it's like a show that's playing its elements straight, because really at its core, this is an idol show. It's zombies, but they're idols, but it's mostly just an idol show with some subversive parody elements. Michael, you had a pretty clear take in your review on Zombieland Saga. What's the short version of how you feel about the show?
The short version of Zombieland Saga is a great idol parody anime that unfortunately frequently delves into just being a regular old good idol anime. It is at its best when it is doing just the dumbest, stupidest parodies of idol culture and idol anime that could possibly ever exist. But unfortunately, sometimes it just decides to be, just like an idol anime that happens to feature zombies sometimes, and that's not as interesting.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes are basically just a giant parody, and they're fantastic. And then the latest 4, to varying degrees, some have more parody than others, have been fair to the most part, have played straight idol anime. I tend to agree with Michael's take. What do you think, John? You named this your number 1 of the season. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I absolutely agree that the first episode was just amazing, and I was really surprised at the direction it was taking, because this is me after watching 3 seasons of Fooly Cooly. When I see someone get hit by a vehicle, I'm expecting them to still be alive and have things coming out of their forehead by that point, so I was surprised she actually stayed dead. But
does that count as stay dead?
John, you can't spoil the best minute of an anime.
Spoilers in minute 1 does not count. That's fine.
Yeah. I think everyone at this point knows.
I mean, everyone knows about Truck-kun. Truck-kun's the best. You should all go watch Zombieland for more Truck-kun.
Yes, but and it's like the parody elements were great, but I think what I do like is that I'm going to disagree a little bit and say that they do at least keep the zombie elements interesting long enough. Because there is a lot where it's like you're trying to avoid outing themselves as zombies. They have to put like gobs of makeup on. Is that can't be a spoiler? Obvious, that can't be a spoiler.
It's fine.
But they're trying to disguise themselves, and sometimes it goes horribly wrong. I mean, and when they play it off as really hilarious, and all the ways they're trying to like make money and try and become famous, it's just so varied and so just outright bizarre that it's just. Like I don't know. Like it's supposed to be a deeper plot. There is supposed to be a deeper plot to this. It hasn't come out yet, but it is still really. It's just enjoyable to watch, just because you just have a great time watching it. And again, what Dylan said, I want to be entertained first and foremost. And this is it's just so bizarre and so hilarious that it makes it just it just makes it so interesting. And the characters all play off each other brilliantly. So it's definitely one that's definitely worth seeing for me.
Yeah, and I'd definitely recommend this to, it's like watch the first 2 episodes, and if you really like it, continue. If not, that's fine. But, it is something special because it's trying to be this, idol subversion, and there's just so many idol shows. And that's why I really do agree with Michael that, this shows at its best when it's playing to its strongest elements. But unfortunately, for the most part is, I think, just trying to be a straight up idol show, which is a good idol show, but it's not, special. And the zombie elements are okay, depending on what they're doing. I don't really love the recurring thing of them being discovered, not being discovered. Sometimes it's better than others, but really the 2 things I want to highlight here about the show, which stand out. The top 2 are, 1 is the legendary Taechan, who is, I think she's the best, running gag in any anime this season. This is,
she's got the zombie thing down pat.
First off, we should make sure that everyone also has a little bit of context for this, because
do you need what context is there?
As I mentioned before I got all of you to watch this show also had a secret production schedule. Apparently, no one had any idea what it was going to be about except for the title before it aired.
Yeah, they're playing into the craziness of the show, for sure.
And also, still no one knows who voices the legendary Tai because the anime community is just up in a roar about trying to figure out who is voicing this girl.
Well, she's not talked yet, so this is but she makes noises because they came back as zombies and they're all basically just humans, but they're zombies. But Tai is she's actually a zombie, and the show's been really brilliant. She's slowly regaining her like humanity, and that's been really subtle throughout these first 6 episodes. But she's getting smarter and smarter. In today's episode, she was like almost brought producer the right thing that he was looking for, like. They did a recurring gag with that. That was the best part of today's episode. And she's just like getting slowly more competent and like actually dancing with them. And really just how the show is handling that character is so incredible. And it almost makes me wonder why we're not doing more things like why we're not. The show should be better than it is considering how strong that element is. But at the very least, we do have this incredibly strong secondary element to the show. And I think she's fantastic.
And speaking of incredibly strong secondary elements.
Yes, the second, number 2 is producer San.
Oh man. The best.
The producer of the group. He yells constantly at them.
His voice actor's so good. I love
Voiced by Mamoru Miyano, who is famous for voicing Light Yagami from Death Note, and just like every anime character you've ever seen in anything ever. And he is doing God's work in this anime. He has taken every single ounce of his incredibly long career and channeled it into just being the craziest person who ever lived in this anime.
And for those watching the dub, it's Rico Fajardo is doing the English dub, which is, by the way, now available on Crunchyroll. If you are like me before this fall, you prefer the dub version.
That's not going to go over well from the audience.
I cannot imagine that's anywhere near as entertaining.
I can't imagine that either.
Yeah, it's a really great role, but this is maybe the best anime voice acting performance I've ever seen with the producer here. He's so incredible. This is my favorite character by far of the season, and he's just constantly yelling at them and like berating them, and mostly a way that does not cross the line. And he may have brought them back to life and is a necromancer, and it's
he is a producer / necromancer / talent scout. Oh my God. He fills a lot of roles.
The scene where he introduces all the girls is like the best voice acting ever.
Yeah,
especially when we get to Tai-chan, that was the best too.
Yeah.
The legendary and it just cuts off. That was the intersection of those two incredible elements. Yeah, what more does there need to be? Yeah, and he's also like a skilled makeup artist who just makes them look human all the time. Yeah,
he's a freestyle rap artist. He's just everything. He's good at everything. It's amazing. He impresses the women. He impresses the men. He romances everyone equally.
I don't know if he's impressing too many people, but he's impressing us in our hearts.
And he carries the parody elements of idol culture really well, because one of the things about idol culture, at least from what I've read, is that it's a lot of flash in the pan acts, and you can kind of see that in some of the plots, because when he introduces a new scheme, they always ask, so when does this start? And he just yells, right now! And just makes it like seem like this very hurried thing, and that I think carries the parody elements a lot through, and it does it in a way that doesn't compromise the storytelling at all. Like it flows somehow, which is great.
Yeah. He in and of itself is the biggest idol parody element they have. Him parodying the idol producer, and he's just incredibly fantastic of himself. I wish they would break from the story more, honestly, and just focus on the random crap that we love, the funny stuff. But I agree with John that it does flow very well from him into the actual plot of the show. Zombieland Saga through 6 episodes, I think has been very good. I would love it for it to be better, but at the very least, it had a legendary beginning and has some truly standout elements to it.
If nothing else, it is a pretty good idol show that occasionally delves into being a fantastic parody of idol shows. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so there's Zombieland Saga. Let's move into Bloom Into You, a show we have not talked a lot about yet. No one chose it as their anime of the season. Interesting, because multiple of us are watching the show and we're enjoying it. John, what's your very brief take on Bloom Into You?
Did anyone else get a gay vibe from this anime?
Yeah. So this is female romance between two high school girls, and basically the shtick is that the older one is in love with the younger one, and the younger one doesn't know how she feels about the older one, but is okay with the older one loving her. So that's like the tension as we're continuing through the show here.
Okay, good. So it wasn't just me. I have to say, like, I have this pretty high up on my list, but it wasn't number one. First off, compliments to the artwork. It is beautiful. Like, I think this might be the prettiest anime of the bunch, even if I didn't think it was the best. The great sharp lines, great use of color is really nice. The characters are really good too. You and what's her other name? Nanami. Toko. I keep forgetting which one's the name and which one's not, but it's
they're both the name.
They're both the name.
I'll say you and Toko. The chemistry works for me, and I didn't think it would because it was sort of, younger, older. Toko is very more pushy about the relationship because she puts it in a weird. I thought it was going to be a very awkward kind of place, and that's what sort of knocked it down a little bit because I was like, she's saying like, "Oh, can I love you without you loving me back?" I'm thinking that's a little weird. Like that's kind of, it's like if this was a straight relationship, I'd say like that's But as the show goes on, it actually does play really well because you see this really interesting dynamic work where it's like, she's younger, but now she has the upper edge because it's like, in this sort of power dynamic, it's so fast. It becomes just a really complex, fascinating thing to watch the more you get into it. And a lot of my versions have as I've watched the first, I think 5 now. My versions have sort of gone away, and you could see like, yeah, you might be a little bit more asexual or at least aromantic, but even she's sort of like getting a little bit more confident in herself too. I'm not sure if I love it yet, but I'm liking it. The more I watched it, the more I actually kind of liked this dynamic, and I didn't think I would to begin with. So it's definitely worth watching.
Nice. Michael, what are your thoughts on Bloom and You?
Oh, finally, a gay anime this season that I can recommend to people that isn't just objectively offensive in some aspect.
Citrus, yeah.
Yeah, dear Osamu Tezuka and wherever anime heaven is, thank you for delivering unto us a gay anime that's good and gay. Oh, Lord. It is so hard to find these nowadays.
So are those your complete thoughts?
No, it's really cute. It's really cute. I think it's probably the best romance. Just like beyond being gay, it's probably the best romance of the season. I think it's better than Bunny Girl Senpai, actually, mostly because I don't actively dislike one of the two romantic leads. I find them both interesting as characters, unlike, certain characters in Bunny Girl Senpai, but it's cute. Romance is good. Really hard to find good gay anime nowadays. You should watch it for those reasons alone. But, not everyone comes to anime to watch straight-laced high school romances. Some people like the explosions, the zombie idols, the action. There's none of that in this anime. If you're coming here for any other reason besides watching two gay high schoolers fall in love with each other, you're maybe not going to have a good time.
If you're coming here to not, if you're watching Bloom and You and you don't want to see two high school girls like each other, why are you even here in the first place? Though?
I mean, but first off, you shouldn't be.
It's the concept of the show. You're saying that more than one show has zombie idols this season, Michael, because I'm interested now in that. But no,
I might actually. Yeah,
it's possible. Now it's going to be a genre. I'm also watching Bloom and You. I think the show is fantastic. It really is actually legitimate queer representation in an anime that's not problematic, and I mean, could be problematic. What the show is doing is very unclear with the main plot that I described, so to be determined how that turns out. But it's at the very least like a show that has had like confessions and kisses and like has legitimate main pairing that it's exploring in depth, and it's kind of just shocking in that that is happening in an anime that almost never happens. I think that this alone makes it possible that Bloom and You is like the best gay anime ever, just because this never happens. And I think the two characters are great. I love you. She's one of my favorite characters of the season. No, why you? And the animation is really gorgeous. The first few episodes did interesting things with perspective, which I really loved. The camera work in the show. We dropped that a little bit, but it's still a really gorgeous show. The problem is that it can be a little bit slow paced and boring, much like all slice of lifes. And I'm a big slice of life defender. And Michael touched on this as a review. Everything that's not about the main romance is not interesting in the show. So whenever the two of them are on screen, which is most of the time, great show. the maybe 30% of the time when that's not happening, we're focusing on like the school presidential campaign or whatever. Not that interesting. Hoping for great things in the last 6-7 episodes from Bloomin' 2. The very least, great queer romance at the center.
At the very least, a gay anime that does not have, sexual assault in it, which is a frequent thing in gay anime for some reason.
Yeah. So,
basically, to sum up, this is your very standard romance anime, but with gays.
Yep, which it makes it special in of itself, the fact that it's being done so well. So definitely check out Bloomin' 2. Next I want to go to...
And also this is being dubbed as well. They just started. They're about 2 episodes in, I think.
Okay. This could be a good dub show. I don't know.
Surprisingly, also not the only show with lesbians in it, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I actually listened to the first episode. The dub, they make Muse sounds a little too old. So
interesting. Okay. Yeah, Yu's definitely a character who's supposed to appear very young. I think that's a crucial element to her character.
She sounds like she's like 25 in the dub, so
that happens sometimes with different languages and stuff. Next time to talk about Bunny Girl Senpai in more detail. This is another very popular, and Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, aka Seishun and Butayado. And, this is about, it's, I don't care.
You want me to describe it, Dylan?
Let's talk about this in a suitable for work way, shall we?
It's about, it's a romance. The guy, she's like a former actress and, they're high school students and she's his senpai and also she is fading out of existence. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. This sci-fi, 8th grader syndrome adjacent, plot line, like,
it's your
whatever.
standard high school romance with some magic teenager diseases involved, that sort of thing.
That sort of thing, yeah. Looks like we're all watching this show, so we can all chime in here. Andy, you were very high on this. You named it without saying, without getting into the exceptions. What really stands out to you about it?
The thing that stands out to me is the first 3 episodes of this show. Like, definitely, I think if you're at all interested in like a romance show, even if it's straight, like the first 3 episodes of this show are very, very good. And specifically, I really love the female lead, May. She is very compelling. There are multiple times during these opening episodes that I was close to tears, and she's just really, really interesting, and you really feel for her when you learn what's going on with her, and you learn the way she feels about things in the world. And then, unfortunately, the male lead in this relationship isn't as compelling, but May is so strong of a character that he is raised up by her. And so it's just really fun to watch them, and it's really maybe not fun near the end of the 3 episodes, but it's definitely interesting and definitely heartfelt, and I really enjoyed that. After that, I think there's a noticeable dip in quality. I think that's kind of the consensus, not just me. But it's still fun, but there's not as much May as I wish there was.
I will correct Andy that it is Mai right now, because we will get comments about that.
Sorry, Mai.
Based on what I know from anime fans.
I'll admit
I already mispronounced Tay. It's fine. I don't know. Who knows what's right? We're watching in the.
I mean, yeah. Don't get on our case, weebs.
My son, yeah.
Do you speak Japanese? No, get off our case.
In before comment that does. Okay, I want to talk about.
Nice. Please be nice to us. We're humans too.
Yeah. Okay. This isn't Ruby. We don't need to give that disclaimer. This is.
But it is anime.
It is Ruby's not anime. This is Bunny Girl Senpai. I want to talk about Bunny Girl Senpai next because I actually love this show. And despite 2 really bad elements, I think the show is thriving. I think this is. I talked about Release of Spyce is my favorite anime this season. I actually think Bunny Girl Senpai is the best anime of the 6 that I'm watching, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think this is like in potentially top all-time tier territory if it succeeds the rest of the way, which is a big if. But the first 3 episodes have one of the best romance arcs I've ever seen, straight up. Yes, the main character is super sexist and annoying, but he's also charismatic and endearing, and I think he actually is a very good character, despite the fact that he's infuriating sometimes. Some people are really into him. And I get it because he's, the show has this like dry, they're saying like these, over the top things while talking like really standardly. That's basically the main dynamic between the main character and my son. And, it's very endearing, honestly, to hear them just like, hit on each other in an overtop way while talking really dryly. That's basically the main shtick of the show. And it's really successful. The third episode is absolutely fantastic. Culminates, this incredible romance arc. But, what I think is going to make or break the show is that, this is, a harem anime. Like, this is a show that's going to go between arcs between multiple different girls. And he's going to have some sort of romance adjacent arc with each girl. We just finished up the second arc with, I don't even remember her name because she's not important. I do love this Koga. I actually do love that character a lot. She's fantastic. But we just finished it with episode 6. And, the key is like, can the show succeed in keeping its main elements afloat while we transition from girl to girl to girl? And the most, successful example of this that I've ever seen is Clanad, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, which is, has a romance, iconic central romance, in the first season, but it's also a harem anime that translates goes between all these girls' arcs, but it keeps the thread of its main romance in an incredible way. And then we go to the after story and it's just, all-time great. That's my opinions on Clanad. So it succeeds in keeping its main, romance threads despite, exploring multiple girls' arcs. I think Bunny Girl Senpai is doing that successfully so far. You may disagree, may not, but I think main character and I don't even remember his name. Sakuta and Mai. I think that it's been threaded really well into the second arc, 4 to 6. I think it was, she's a part of every single episode. She's, the most memorable part of every episode, and we keep that thread throughout. If it's able to continue to do that, this could be really incredible. And I actually have confidence because I think it's handling it fantastically so far. It's like, you can explore these other arcs, but keep this main romance central to the show. It's also, has the sci-fi element, which for the most part is a non-entity, but, was done really well in the first 3 with her disappearing. And then recently in the 6th episode, I thought it was incredibly well done. I actually loved the 6th episode of the show. So like, that's
the tie-in to the second arc sci-fi at the end of the 6th episode was done exceptionally well.
It ties into the beat. It like brings the whole thing together. It ties back into the first 3 episodes. It's, that's what gives me hope that the series is going to be incredible. Is the 6th episode's probably my second favorite of the show. And we're past the main romance arc and yet still, it's really thriving. So, that gives me a lot of hope. So I'm just really loving what the show is doing so far. The 2 cons, are number 1, it's incredibly sexist. That's just what the show is. The generous interpretation is that the main character is sexist, not the show itself, but I think the show itself is also sexist. I guess it's like, if you're someone who doesn't frequently watch anime, it's not going to be palatable. So, you should probably not even try. But if you're used to the anime sexism, it's not enough that it'll turn you off too much, I think. Like, and that's a very cynical thing to say, but like, most animes are sexist to a certain degree. This doesn't go over the top. It plays it as, it's mostly towards the harmless side. Obviously, none of it's really harmless, but it doesn't cross any lines, I think. So that's con number 1. Con number 2 is that there's this character, Science Girl. And I hope I'm terrified she's going to get an arc. I think she will.
Dylan, she's in the intro. She will absolutely get an arc.
She is really horrible.
She lives in the science lab.
This is one of the worst characters. And it's not even her as a character, but every scene, there's multiple scenes in the show where she is explaining some vague pseudoscience concept to the main character. And it's so boring. Keep doing it. Why do they keep doing it? It's
you don't want to watch Schrodinger's cat again?
Oh, so this anime explains Schrodinger's cat. Yeah, explaining Schrodinger's cat is now it's an instant drop territory. The fact that I did not stop watching when they started explaining that is
Schrodinger's cat is on the level of if they start talking about Icarus, like we don't know about what
everyone knows what it is. It's a huge part of culture now. Stop explaining it to me. Okay,
I didn't know what Laplace's demon was before.
Well, yeah, I didn't know. That's fine. You can explain that to me. That's not a common thing. But yeah, you can't. Anyway, every scene she's in is terrible. Just don't give her arc, please. I mean, maybe do something interesting with her. But boy, so those are the 2 bad elements. There's enough of the incredible stuff there that I really think this show is really great.
Dylan has unfortunately forgot to bring up the one other bad element about Bunny Girl Senpai, which is
it the bunny girl costume?
Right in its name. It's our old pal,
that counts as part of the sexism.
I don't know.
Fan service nonsense, which is just, rearing its ugly head all over the place in this show for really just no good reason. The Bunny Girl outfit is completely divorced from any aspect of the show whatsoever. It's in the first episode. It's in the sixth episode. It only exists to, give us just gratuitous shots of a high school girl that no one really should be looking at unless they're in high school. And even then, it's really just a lot. I know it's a staple of anime as a genre, as a medium. Everyone's used to it, but I just can't not point it out.
Yeah, it's true. It's not good. It's part of the sexism.
I will say this: the fact that that was the intro, and it's like, okay, this is going to be one of those anime, isn't it? I said, laughing to myself before I watch it. And then you wind up getting this really deep anime with some really cool stylistic concepts to it. And I'm like, wow, this actually, and I think Andy said this too, and I'm starting to agree, this show has no business being as good as it is.
The name of this show is not at all emblematic of what this show is actually about. It is very strange, and I can only assume that they called it that to draw in the weebs who came for the Bunny Girl outfit and saved the good show. It worked. There's really no other explanation for the name, and that's just it. That has to be the only reason.
Now, I will say this though. As far as the con elements still mentioned, I mean, I wasn't too bothered by the Bunny Girl outfit or the fact that it's a harem anime too much. I think one of my favorite animes is a harem anime. My Bride is a Mermaid, which everybody should watch because it's about an underwater Yakuza mermaid tribe and a 14-year-old boy. And that's all I need to say about that. But this anime was really good. I like the sci-fi concepts in here. I think what it does well is that even though, yes, the science girl in the lab makes it, I think, really slows it down. I think she's just a big exposition dump. Yep. The sci-fi concepts, I think, help serve to underline the confusion and difficulty of adolescence. And this show does that very well. It's because the whole idea of adolescent syndrome, where you have this out of body experience where you don't know what you don't know what you did. And this character had a really bad backstory that he doesn't quite remember either. But he goes to the whole trouble saying, like, these are rumors. I don't fight rumors. And when you're an adolescent, there's such pressure to conform, go with the trends and all that. Even the characters in this anime, a lot of them look like each other. And when you have that concept, it's sort of divorced from reality. It's not hard to imagine your own life as adolescents. I mean, we're all grown up by this point, but I remember feeling many of the same feelings. And when something sticks out at you, like a girl in a buddy costume, you become riveted on that, and it does, and creates an impression in your mind. But there's still a lot of, you still got a lot of the confusion going on, like faking having a relationship to keep your friends on side.
Yeah, you have common thing that happens. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I mean. Kind of,
yeah. I agree. I certainly.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
I was being sarcastic. I've tapped into I think you've tapped into what the show is going for thematically, for sure, with this adolescent syndrome. Yeah. I agree with that.
And here's the thing, yes, and the science is, and I think the science in air quotes, I think it is kind of flat out stupid, and I do think that if you want really sort of broad, abstract concepts of adolescence, again, Fooly Cooley's got you covered there. It doesn't rise to that level. But as far as making that the plot element, having the time skips and a couple episodes where it becomes Groundhog Day all of a sudden, minus Bill Murray, it actually is. I'm not gonna say. I want to say it's great because I think that's a little too broad. It's an intriguing and a mentally stimulating anime to watch. It's more than just a romance. Although I thought the romance with Koga, or the fresh guy, I like that more than I like the main one. That's my hot take.
Get out of here.
I liked that better because it was like, they're cute, they're perfect for each other. I want that. I want it.
John is a beta shipper. Ships the bad ships.
I mean, it was beautiful. It was cute. I was like,
okay, yeah. It held up on its own, which I think was good. But yeah, so you're into the show.
Yeah, and it's I mean, the first 3 episodes, and this is an episode, and this is definitely, and also as an anime, if you only want to watch the first 3 episodes to see how good it is, they kind of give you that, because the first 3 is sort of like a nice self-contained arc with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So if you liked that arc and you want to keep going, great, but you can watch the first 3 episodes and feel like you got a really good sense of the show.
Yeah, you could watch the first 3 and stop. That's fine.
Here's my one-sentence review of Bunny Girl Senpai. Bunny Girl Senpai is the melancholia of Haruhi Suzumiya itself if you took the comedy and replaced it with drama.
Yeah, I think there's some Haruhi here. I think it's structurally probably going to be closer to Clan Ed, but it's not clear yet. We'll see. But it's certainly, and the sci-fi I think has been good enough. So I'd rather, even despite Science Girl, I'd rather have it anyway. So we're into Bunny Girl to varying degrees. So let's speed up here. Keep thoughts, briefly as we continue here. Release the Spyce is the next one we can get into a little bit more here. This is the other one we're all watching, I guess. This is, probably just because I've been yelling about it in our Discord because I love it so much.
Thanks a lot, Dylan.
This is Totally Spies the anime. It is gay high school spy girls and action scenes. The plot moves fast. It's like, it's not the best plot. It's not the best characterization, but it's super fun. It has this really distinctive soundtrack that alternates between
so good.
I would say it alternates between normal slice of life high school show, dubstep fight scenes, and James Bond spy music is what. And
they all coexist really well together. Like there's like it's really impressive. The soundtrack, it's so good.
The opening song is just
the opening song is fantastic. By the way, Bunny Girl Senpai is a fantastic opening song. That and Release the Spyce are my 2 favorites, and
they're very good.
And this show is just so much fun. I love the main character Momo. I think she's really great. This show, by the way, the show has the Yuri Yuri character designer as one of the co-creators and the character designer of this. And these characters look almost exactly like the Yuri Yuri characters. And it's fantastic because it's that show but exciting. Not that Yuri Yuri wasn't great. Yuri Yuri is great, but it's like seeing the Yuri Yuri girls in a spy anime, and it's so much fun. I love it. I love almost everything about the show. Like there's like some maybe problematic elements. There's like Momo going around licking people for some reason, and it's just weird. It takes all these shots, but like it's doing so much that it's fine. Like whatever. And there's episode 4 is this like epic queer romance episode between 2 of the girls. It's fantastic. Overall, I'm in love with the show. This is definitely my favorite.
Here's an actual quote from an actual episode of this show. Did you know that the word spy was originally derived from the word spice?
Yes, S-P-Y-C-E.
Word.
They just move on from that right away. It's played straight. It's a stupid. Yeah, this show is filled with stuff like that. But it's so much fun. Yeah, Andy, brief thoughts.
Oh, I really like this show. It's really fun. I usually don't like shows like this. Not just because I usually like more plot-driven shows. This one, despite having a plot, that's not the focus of the show at all. It's nearly slice of life with just some weird action stuff going on sometimes. But all the characters are just so fun. I really care about them. All of the 6 are really distinct, and I just really enjoy all of them. Momo clearly is the best, and she just keeps licking people, and I can't get over it.
She does,
and she licks people. She licks people like for missions sometimes too.
Yeah. It's Fleur's plot purpose. It's also in like a sexually charged way for no reason. And
yeah, really good.
I mean, but that's how you gauge how someone is feeling. For example, Andy, lean over for a second.
He's running.
Let's see. He's stressed, but he has a lot on his plate, and also, cat hair.
Okay. That joke's gonna land. Andy has a cat. John, 5-second thoughts on Release the Spyce.
You compare it to James Bond. I thought it was more like Kingsman, though, and Momo's sort of like Riggsy. It has that sort of very silly vibe to it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It is on its face really absurd because they eat spice to power up. There is some gay. I saw that and I was like, wow, this ain't even close to being subtle now, is it? But it's just but you get these, again, great character relationships. The mentor-mentee relationship is really good. It is bizarre. There is, it's your standard sort of spy thing. Good side. There's an evil force out there. It's high schoolers who turn into who become secret agents all of a sudden. It is, there is some of those sexual undertones, which, take it or leave it. But yeah, this is one of those anime that's just really, very, very funny, and it works.
Yeah, check Release the Spyce out, at least first episode. It's very fun. Okay, next I want to talk about, the girl in Twilight, Anasasu Shoujo. Akanasasu Shoujo. I don't speak Japanese, but,
that was pretty good.
Yeah. So, this is, group of 6 girls in high school. You're seeing all the
It's
animes.
almost like there's a theme.
That's almost like this is what all animes are. No, it's
like-
not this season. It's all and they take a cassette player and they put in a radio frequency and they're transported to an alternate reality. And the show jumps between alternate reality versions of all the characters. And then there's this middle ground where the show becomes like a magical girl action type thing too. It's kind of a big genre hybrid. Michael, you love this show.
Oh, this show's the best. Sometimes it's the best. Sometimes it's like, what are you doing? But usually it's the best. I mean, we had like a glowy orange world, and we had like a world with marriage police in it, and we had a cowboy world with a cowboy coliseum in it, and there are just like alternate reality versions of the main characters running around all over the place, and they interact with their normal counterparts. And like we had 3 different versions of a character in one episode one time. And that's just normal for this show, and it's fantastic. The main character's great. The side characters each have their own little arc, which makes them more interesting as characters. So it has the fun, it has the heart, it has the ridiculousness that is anime and clones but not clones. And it's also got a pretty good soundtrack. The animation, the fights are kind of CG, little sometimes, but it kind of fits with the Walkman retro vibe. I really like this anime, except for the times where it does the anime nonsense of having the beach episode.
Yeah. I was not digging the most recent beach episode of the show, but Asuka, the main character, is one of my favorite. Her and you and Momo, I love all of them, but Asuka is like fantastic, and there's multiple versions of her. So, City Asuka.
There are so many
best.
nicknames she comes up with. It's great.
Yeah, none of them, as the episode said, none of them sticked as much as City Asuka yet. But she's really fantastic. I love the concept of the show. I love the alternate reality hopping. At times, the show is fantastic. I wish that it was more ambitious. Is my main thing that I would say about the show. I am watching. I'm going to keep up with the show until the end. I wish it was more ambitious. I wish there's been 3 versions. Someone give me 10 versions of them in the same scene. Like give me multiple worlds hopping per episode.
As with Zombieland Saga, this show at its best is when it's doing the ridiculous cloneception, world hopping nonsense.
But then sometimes it just stays in a world for an episode and doesn't do anything particularly special. I will say it's been very good at characterizing each of its characters and each individual arc so far, as Michael wrote in his review. Like you start off with only a good sense of Asuka, and we've gotten slowly a better sense of each character. So it's doing that well. Like it's a solid show. I think it could be better. Hopefully it'll elevate to that in the second half. Andy?
Oh, I'll just say that I started the show, and that's kind of what you're saying, Dylan, is kind of why I didn't continue with it. I wanted more of that crazy sci-fi stuff. I wanted more, a lot more reality hopping. Sometimes it didn't feel like they were really jumping realities. It felt more like, oh, we're taking a train to a different place in the world instead of really jumping to a new reality because we're just sitting in the same place forever. You know what I mean? Like I wanted just them to be going all crazy with it, and maybe if it does get crazy later, I'll probably pick up the show again.
Yeah, that's a great point. They could have just like took a plane to these different places. But
I don't know. Cowboy World was a little out there.
Cowboy World was fun, but I don't need 2 episodes.
I fear they might have peaked on Cowboy World, unfortunately.
Yeah, Beach World has not been that good so far, but we'll see. We only got first episode as we've seen so far. Okay, it's time. Sword Art Online.
Oh boy.
Sword Art Online illicitization? What is that?
What it doesn't matter.
Alicization?
What you need to know this entire season.
Look. Look. Here's what you need to know. We are blessed because we're truly blessed to be joined by the number one Sword Art Online fan in the entire world, the true expert on everything Sword Art Online. He's seen every episode, probably 10 times. It is he's Andy Potter, and he loves the show. So Andy, tell us what you think Sword Art Online this year.
Okay, so before I say literally anything else, I want to start with, yes, the first 2 seasons of Sword Art Online are bad. You can find tons of stuff about that. We're going to move right on past that and talk just about this season, because it's still bad, just in different ways now. So, before this weekend's episode came out, episode 5, I had a whole rant plan talking about how Sword Art Online is just boring now. It's the most boring show ever. And Dylan, I'm sorry, if anyone here cares about spoilers for SAO, I'm getting right into them because I don't care. Because I don't care about the people that like this show.
Apparently they do something with a tree for like 5 episodes.
Hey, Dylan, the first 4 episodes of the show are centered around cutting down a tree that in the world of this show, they've been taking 300 years to cut down. And let me tell you, I feel for the people of that town, Dylan, because they need to cut down the damn tree. But on the bright side, no one was raped in those episodes, which I can't really say about episode 5, because episode 5 takes place completely in the real world and focuses on Asuna and her weird daughter AI thing. And to console her mother human thing, she tells her, hey, remember when you were raped in season 1 of the show? I'll cheer you up by reminding you of it and telling you to go save your dad, your husband, Kirito. It's like, this show doesn't understand what trauma is, and it's so frustrating. And it keeps bringing up all these horrible harem sexual assault things over and over and over again. But that said, I'm gonna watch it the whole way through because I hate myself.
Andy hates himself confirmed. 1A is not that bad, but you almost make me want to watch this season, given that they spend 4 episodes cutting down a tree. I want to see how that was accomplished, because how could that possibly be true?
Well, Dylan, here's how that could possibly be true, because a fact that Andy has neglected to mention is that this season is 50 episodes long.
Yes, every week this year there will be a new episode of Sao,
and the first episode is 45 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My
That's not good.
Lord.
Okay, yeah, Michael, anything to add here?
I can't even with Sword Art Online anymore, really. I don't know how anyone does it. I don't know how Andy has the patience for this stupid show. The first 2 seasons are bad, barring some okay episodes. The spin-offs are good, if only because they don't focus on any of the characters from any of the previous seasons, which is basically all you need to know about how bad the actual characters of this show are. And the 3rd season manages to make it not even interesting, because at least when Sword Art Online is bad, it's kind of entertaining to watch and like, oh, this is really terrible, but kind of fun to watch way. No, it's just boring, and it's just the worst main character of any anime, Kirito, and his blonde clone, who I can't even remember the name of him because he's literally just blonde Kirito. Cutting down,
it's like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Cutting down a stupid tree for 4 stupid episodes in a row. And I read that review online and I thought, there's no way this could possibly be true, but it's true. It
doesn't seem
100%
possible.
true.
No. The worst part of it is, in the middle of the 2nd episode, how they're going to cut it down. They just don't do it for 2 more episodes for no reason.
And it's basically just another 46 episodes of this nonsense, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, because we're going to be doing this all year long.
Dylan, we're not moving on because I forgot one thing.
My God.
We're not moving on because, Dylan, so you know that this whole show is based around VR. That's the whole point of this show. The whole point of the series.
Oh, God, don't bring this up either.
No, we need to, Michael, because in this season, he's not using a VR helmet. He's using something called the Soul Translator. And so, this show is trying to tell me that some scientists in some shady place found a way to find our souls that are apparently photons and are like inside our bodies, and they just stole baby souls and made AIs out of them, Dylan. That is a true fact about this season, and it makes no sense.
Baby souls? Did they say the word photons in the show?
Yes!
Dylan, it's much less entertaining than you think it is. It is somehow.
This sounds so fantastic. You guys are trying to sell it, man.
And it's boring. It's boring in the show somehow, and it's so infuriating.
Somehow, after like 2 or 3 years of Kirito being trapped in death game after VR nightmares, he has not yet learned the lesson that any big budget VR whatever in this world is always bad.
You think he'd stop putting on headsets after the first one?
He willingly plugs himself into it.
He's taking it upon himself.
What is it? Is it what number game is this season? 4?
Like 5? I don't know.
I think
who cares?
It was already unrealistic that he jumped into the next game in season 1.
Oh yeah, I'm not even talking about that. Everyone just ignores their trauma and keeps jumping into VR games, but they should be completely traumatized to all hell. Like, it makes no sense.
Okay,
Kirito almost dies at the end of the first episode, which is not a spoiler because I don't care, and I wish he would, because he's so stupid he deserves to die. But he didn't. And he will continue to be the worst main character in existence.
Stab someone with an umbrella, though. Don't worry.
Okay.
I don't know if this makes me want to watch Sword Art Online, but I kind of want to watch Andy watch Sword Art Online now.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Just to see him go nuts over this.
We need more Andy ranting about Sao. That was the highlighted so far. Okay, so we'll go watch Sao. Next show. Don't. Okay. Next one to talk about is SSSS.Gridman.
You missed an S.
Supposed to say
SSSS.
How are you supposed to say it?
So it stands for this. S stands for
Gridman?
Super Samurai Cyber Squad with an S for cyber.
Why are they samurai?
I don't know. It's based on tokusatsu, which if no one knows what that is, it's if you've ever seen Power Rangers or Kamen Rider or any of those things, it's people dress up in suits and fight other people dressed up in monster suits. And Trigger, Best Boy Studio Trigger was like, but what if we did that as an anime? And turns out it's great because it's Trigger.
So it's just notable enough because it's Studio Trigger, and we've been fans of their stuff in the past. But Michael, you sounds like you're not as enthusiastic about the show.
No, well, it depends. So, Gridman being an anime, being a Trigger anime especially, Trigger known for having some proclivities in the past, and those proclivities relate to an extreme abundance of what we like to call anime fan service nonsense. So, of course, there are multiple shots of various parts of high school girls, long, loving shots on bikinis, not so long, loving shots on the male counterparts, because, who cares about those dudes? But, that's just how Trigger rolls. What you're really here for is to see the giant robots fighting the giant kaijus to great soundtracks, and also for the surprisingly in-depth character developments in a show about giant robots fighting giant monsters.
Nice. John, you've seen a little bit of this. Brief thoughts on Gridman.
Yeah, I must be one of the oddball weebs around because when it comes to anime, I'm actually not really a fan of the big mech fights, to be perfectly honest.
How dare you?
Yeah. Although I will say I do like Studio Trigger. I'm a big Kill la Kill fan. That's one of my favorite animes. But as the characters are good, I think it's nice how they're playing it off. It's not just a giant mech fight. There is a nice human element in there too. I don't know how much I can really contribute. I think it's just like the little bit I've seen. It's interesting enough for me to want to keep going. I like the humans are interesting enough. The main character who has a memory problem, but he fuses into Gridman. I think that's how I'm pronouncing his name. Gridman.
Yuta. We must fuse to defeat the kaiju. That was a terrible accent. I apologize. That was probably racist.
But anyway, for some reason I get a bit of a nostalgic vibe to this because it feels like something I would have watched in like the year 2000 when I was like 8 years old with my friends and Toonami was on.
It's Power Rangers. You watched Power Rangers and this.
There you go.
They have different transformations and they combine into the Megazord to defeat the evil monster of the week. That's what this show is.
But there's no pink one yet. It's charming. Like I'm not gonna say it's not, at least the part I've seen, it's not too deep yet, but it's a nice little munchie of an anime if you like fighting.
I would suggest that everyone maybe watch the first 3 episodes because episode 3 is kind of the highlight of the show so far, and if you like episode 3, then you'll like the rest of the show. And also, another point that's great about this show, it has the best villain of the season. And when I mean the best, I mean Producer Kun level's best.
Ooh,
she is amazing.
Me.
Are you calling Producer Kun a villain?
I mean, Producer might as well be a villain.
He might be a villain. We don't know
he's probably the villain. If there was a villain in
Zombieland, the villain in this is. I won't spoil it because it's great. But
this villain in this is great, over the top, and I love it. I love everything about it.
I didn't see that coming. That's an interesting take. I'm interested now. Please keep going.
She is Hawkmoth levels of campy.
Ooh, okay. Now I like campy. I'm interested now.
Hawkmoth at his purple edge.
Okay, I might try it now. Okay, so there's Gridman. Continuing to go faster through. Goblin Slayer is. I've not seen this, but this is apparently edgy Dungeons and Dragons. The show. John, have you been enjoying the show?
I've been watching the show.
Okay. That's a start.
Okay. I will. Okay. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to start with what I like. One thing they do is that the way they slay the main villain, which spoiler is goblins. I don't know if I just shocked anybody. They at least, even though it's the same villain most times, they do keep it interesting in the number of interesting ways in which they slay the goblins. And it's, it's like, okay, you know what? That's interesting. Like, you're seeing them thinking, you're seeing the strategy. It is very much edgy D&D. In fact, when I saw the main crew, it was pretty much exactly what my current D&D campaign's character list is. So I'm like, This is my D&D campaign. Come to anime. All this next is to show me some dice. The theme song has dice in it. I'm like, you could have at least hit it a little bit. Come on. Yeah, the first episode, and I think Michael can back me up on this, it is very gory. It is very graphic. And the one thing I didn't like about it was that, and I say this as someone who watched Devilman Crybaby earlier this winter, that was gory, that was graphic as hell. But the thing is, what they do is that it integrates into the plot. Goblin Slayer struggles with that. If you can make it past the first episode without being viciously offended, you are unfortunately treated with clunky exposition that I have at points called so bland it makes me turn into Andy levels of frustration, which is rare for me when I watch anything. However, and this is my hot take, it's getting better by episode 5. It got me back in it because the dialogue got better. There's a long-term plot that they're working on, and I was all ready to give it up because I was like, this is going to frustrate me because of how bland it is. Yes, the epic exposition is still clunky. It's basically straight D&D and how they describe characters and adventuring and stuff like that. But it's just interesting enough for me to like go, dang it, I'm gonna keep watching it because I have hope.
Okay. Yeah, I have some thoughts on Goblin Slayer. So you know how I said that Zombieland Saga had the best first episode of the season? So Goblin Slayer has objectively the worst first episode of the season. And I say that with love for fans of Goblin Slayers, because you all should recognize that the first episode of your favorite anime is terrible. It is not only offensive in all the ways that you could be offensive, just completely unnecessary rape scenes, abuse, all of the things that you could ever possibly hate to watch in an anime. It is also not at all representative of the show as a whole, because I watched past the first episode because I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. If this is what this anime is, it's the worst anime in existence. But I'm going to watch again the next episode to see if it gets better. And the next episode, very, very different from the first episode, and so are all the other episodes. So I was very confused why the first episode was so objectively worse than the rest of the series, and why on earth you would start off this series with such a terrible premiere episode. So my advice to anyone who is interested in watching Goblin Slayer is to just not watch the first episode, because nothing in it, you don't need anything in it to watch the rest of the series. Just watch episode 2. It's more emblematic of what the series is as a whole, and if you like that, then you'll like the rest of the series.
And Michael's absolutely right. And what makes it worse though is like, yes, there is a rape scene that I mentioned, like, because Funimation did dub this. The dub is out, available on Crunchyroll. Everybody, if you like dubs more than subs. But I even mentioned to Michael, I was like, you could cut all that rape scene out and you lose nothing, which is a big problem.
You lose nothing.
That's never a good sign.
It means
that's kind of disqualifying.
The worst part, Dylan, is it's not even. This is based on a light novel that was adapted into a manga, and neither of those two are as explicit as the anime is about it. Yeah, so it's even a bad adaptation of the thing. I don't understand whose decision this was.
Right, yeah, and it's it's one thing if like you have gore and graphic scenes that mean something. This didn't. But the problem is like if you make it past it and you weren't offended, like you're treated to something that there's some serviceable parts to it if you like slaying goblins and you like the whole idea of a D&D party as anime. I mean this is right up your alley, and I know there's people that like it and can look past that, and more power to you. For me, it's just like. I just want, I don't know, just given what we've all seen, what I've seen this season already and what I've seen already in the past, I really wanted it to be a better written anime that doesn't feel like I'm playing a video game. Because D&D's inspired a lot of shows, I'm sure.
But if you were playing a video game, it would be more entertaining because you'd be playing the
dialogue. Game. The dialogue would make sense because it's like, oh, I leveled up. Oh, I have this level. I'm like, come on. It's like, this is not a game. It's a show. Write it as a show, please. I want to like you. I have hope for you. Please don't make me out to be a fool in front of an international podcast audience, although I probably have already.
Too long don't read. Watching Goblin Slayer is like watching a mediocre Dungeons & Dragons campaign that you're not playing. So what are you even doing watching it? Watch a better anime.
I'd rather play D&D. Yeah, I won't be checking the show out, but I know other people.
But if you get to episode 5, it could turn around.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
You'll never get to episode 5. You'll quit after episode 1. Don't bother.
Next, that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Andy,
what is it, and what do you think of it?
The time I got reincarnated as a slime is another anime in the isekai genre. Somebody gets transported to another world, but instead of becoming like a swordsman or a magician or something, they came in as just a slime, like a Final Fantasy slime, just like a ball. But he has some abilities that allow him to be really strong. Like it's still a power thing. Like he's still super powerful. But the thing is, it's in a very different way. There's a lot of charm to it. And to be honest, like I think Bunny Girl Senpai is like the best show I watched this season. This is the one that I like. I pretty much watch it the second the episode comes out because I'm really excited to see it every week because it's just fun. There's nothing really deep here. There's no real deeper meaning to anything. It's just a fun show with some really weird RPG elements that you can just kind of get sucked into. And unfortunately, there is still some of that anime stuff of fan service and things like that. On the bright side, everyone involved is adults. And it's all consenting, so it at least has that for it, unlike SAO and Goblin Slayer. So
is there slime fan service of?
There we go. The slime gets fan service from some consenting adult.
I don't understand what you're talking about with the show, but it sounds interesting.
Slime,
it's a dumb
Slime
show,
is just a really wholesome show. Everyone,
yeah.
It's like with all the Goblin Slayers and SAOs and nonsense isekais that are just bad rip-off clones of each other. Slime returns the genre back to its roots of being a fun time that you want to watch. And
I'll take these goblins. Yeah. I would take these goblins over Goblin Slayer goblins every day.
These goblins are the best goblins. I love these goblins.
These goblins are the
best goblins. Hot take.
Yeah, no, these goblins are the cutest thing ever. You just want to hug them.
That's good.
Yeah, they're great.
That makes me.
Everyone in this anime is wholesome, and I love it, and it's fun, and you should go watch this.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Next, Anima Yell is probably very different. It's
I think it's Anima Yell. I don't know.
Anima.
I call it Anima Yell.
It's Anime Yell. It's Animu Yell. I'm not caught up, but I've seen the first 3 episodes. It's cheerleading slice of life, high school. Yeah, it's boring slice of life. I think it's going too slowly. The main character is good, and there's definitely some potential here. It's a sweet show. The biggest thing is that in episode 3, there's a fantastic coming out scene by a side character. And it's just one of the most successful and straightforward queer representation moments in anime ever. It's just very random. I think we're spoiling it, bringing it up, but you should just go watch for that scene in episode 3 of Anima. It's really fantastic. And the rest of the show is sweet. And the cheer gag is fantastic. I don't know. I'm not caught up in it.
They stopped it after episode 2. They got new gags.
That's unfortunate. John, you really like the show.
I do. And I do. It's, the chair gag I thought was pretty funny. But the thing is for me, it's like, I'm thinking about this and it's like, okay, it's about cheerleading. The main character is constantly trying to get all her friends to join cheer club. It's like you expect it to just be the most irritating, saccharine, annoying thing, but it's well written. I love Kahane, the main character. She's just precious. And you can tell they're all like really great friends. They all help each other out though. It's like there's no the funny thing is like they're starting a cheer club, but it's like there's nothing really to cheer for yet except for like the basketball team. But so they're cheering on other people, they're trying to help other people and all that. It's just so constantly chipper and happy, but without it getting annoying. And that is and that's down to I think it's the writing and the chemistry between the characters, which is just absolutely great. It really carries the show. There's not much plot. It is just, every episode is self-contained. But I will say this, just watching it, this might be the one anime of the list that we have here that I would call the best gateway anime for someone new to anime, because it's about cheerleading, which is, even as the show acknowledges, is a quintessentially American thing. I was actually really surprised it even existed in Japan before this show. You can watch it. It's culturally, it's going to be very familiar to you. It's nothing too heavy. There's no lore. There's no mythology. You can watch it. You can enjoy the medium. and really just have a really great time watching it. And yes, the queer scene was good. It was just matter of fact. It worked well. It ended well. It was nice. It was a nice little aside. So yeah, I mean, if you want something not too deep and you're probably new to anime, if you have a friend that's new to anime, put this on for them and they'll probably get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's a straightforward slice of life anime if you haven't seen a bunch of that. I've seen hundreds of slice of life animes. That's all I watch. And this show is to a certain extent, unremarkable.
I hate you, Dylan.
The coming out scene is the remarkable part, and it's fun. But yeah,
it's
yeah,
cute.
Michael.
There's cheerleading. Yeah. I've described it as K-On! But cheerleading, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah, maybe it gets better. It's certainly not K-On! Levels yet. Okay, before we get into rapid fire section to close out with Michael, a special aside to Conception.
Oh
which,
my god!
Oh my god!
I forgot.
Multiple of us are watching this weekly on our Discord during a random anime night, and we single out Conception to watch a new episode every week. Michael, you're calling this the worst anime of the season.
So there are a lot of bad anime this season. I could get into some of them. This one is the only one that is trying to be the worst anime. And it really knows it, and I kind of had to give it that award. It is just... where do I even start? So, it's a
We don't need to describe the whole plot.
It's a harem anime. You know how harem animes work. It's up in this case. The harem is this guy, his female cousin, yes, who is also part of the harem, because we got to get that incest crowd in. There's some lollies in there. There's some big breast girls in there. And, he has to not only romance them, he has to sleep with them, impregnate them, and bear magical star children with them. And it's all based on a game, and the only thing they really care about is not the game aspects, which are a romance dating sim / RPG. They could care less about that, because it's not an advertisement for the game. No, they only care about the nudity scenes in which this guy strips with his cousin, underage girls, overage girls, whatever girls, and they get it on and have a child. But it's not even a hentai. Because before any of the actual hentai elements could come along, the worst / best animal mascot in all of anime history, who is this floating, perverted red panda thing called Mana, floats by and covers the entire scene up. So it's not even a good hentai. It just fails at everything possible.
Yeah. Here's the thing with Conception. We watch this every week. It's really fun to watch in a group. I highly recommend getting your anime watching friends together and drink and watch Conception, because this is really the most entertaining show. It's in a bad way, but it's still really entertaining, and it's very self-aware of what it's doing.
I laughed for 5 minutes straight on one episode. Without stopping.
Just because it's aware that it's bad doesn't mean it's good. I'm not saying that, but it is aware. It is aware of what it's doing, and it is kind of highly entertaining. I think it's very fun to watch in a group, and the fact that it's so entertaining means it's not remotely the worst. I disagree. It can't be the worst.
Oh, it's not the worst anime of the season. The worst anime of the season is the incest anime of the season.
Okay, get to that in rapid fire.
Conception is a glorious dumpster fire. Put it that way.
Yeah, I had to give it the worst though, because it's trying to be the worst, and I
guess
wanted
it's succeeding. Yeah,
but it works. Yeah. So it's
I don't want to give an anime award the worst if it's just a bad anime. That's like awarding something that it shouldn't get.
It's the room of anime, sort of.
Yes. Okay. Kind of. So watch Conception if you're with people.
Or don't. Or just don't.
Or just don't watch it.
You should not watch it.
It's highly offensive.
You should definitely not watch it alone. If you're going to watch it, you have to watch it with friends who are hopefully drunk. If nothing else.
Yeah,
get your friends drunk, watch Conception. That's our recommendation.
Yes, I agree. Okay, before we get into rapid fire, Michael, any further thoughts on Double Decker?
It's the best anime, and it is secretly one of the most progressive animes, and the fact that none of you three are watching it is highly offensive and just really...
Nobody's heard of it, Michael!
Yeah, Michael, you didn't start talking about this until a few weeks ago. I went from not knowing it existed. I am intrigued now, so I might check it out. But,
just reflective of all of your poor decisions in anime watching this season.
Look, I'm sorry that I'm too busy watching good anime like Conception to watch Double Decker. Okay?
Yeah, and all my decisions come from you. A lot of them came from you, Michael. So who are you saying had bad decisions?
Yeah, you let us down some.
Most of the main cast is females. There are 2 of them are gay. 1 of them is a robot. There's a trans character. There's a pro-union character. There's a very snarky narrator. It's just really the best. It's great. The ending song is the best ending song of the season. I love everything about it. If you ever watched Tiger and Bunny, this is by the same people who made that. So it has a good pedigree.
Nice. Okay, check out Double Decker. Rapid fire round with Michael. He's seen a bunch of other shows that he wants to talk about. 20 seconds max, Michael. Okay, on these, okay? Actual rapid fire. Golden Kamuy, what is this?
Golden Kamuy, I think John's actually watched this.
No, I haven't. I just recognized the word Kamuy.
Okay, Golden Kamuy is Nat Geo meets Battle Royale. It has a historical element, and it also has a dude fighting and killing a bunch of people element. And it also is very representative of the Ainu people of Japan, which are an underrepresented minority people. And it handles that actually pretty well, surprisingly, for an anime.
Wait, did you say Nat Geo, like National Geographic?
Yeah, like National Geographic, at least.
Okay, I just want to be clear. I want to be clear.
10 minutes of every episode are dedicated to explaining various Ainu cultures in like an actual down-to-earth, real facts kind of way. And it's very odd to see in an anime where it's just like, no, this is just like real history facts. Oh, okay, sure. It's also really entertaining. And,
okay.
It's pretty
good. JoJo.
Oh, JoJo. Who here has watched JoJo? No one. Everyone.
A couple episodes of Stardust Crusaders.
Okay, everyone who's listening has watched JoJo. If you watched JoJo, you're already watching this season of JoJo because it's JoJo. JoJo is the dumbest but also smartest anime in the Shonen Battle anime series. There are big men. They punch each other with their magic spirits in surprisingly ridiculous but kind of intelligent ways. It looks great. It's Italian. It has the best opening of any anime this year. You should watch JoJo. It's fun.
The hair is amazing.
There are no girls, and any girls in it are critically underrepresented. It is probably very sexist, but it is also very entertaining.
Probably. Okay. So there's JoJo. Miss Vampire.
Miss Vampire is the cutest anime of the season. It's maybe for Miss Beelzebub, but I don't know. I kind of like Vampire Girl better because it's also gay. The main character is really gay. The vampire girl who she's in love with is also pretty gay. Everyone that's around them are also pretty gay, and they're very cute, and it's kind of funny, and that's all you really need to watch.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. It was pretty good. I might continue at some point. Run with the Wind.
Run with the Wind is another sports anime. It's not as repetitive as all the other sports animes, which involve mostly tournament arcs of increasingly powerful teams of ridiculous anime boys with ridiculous anime powers. This one is actually about marathons, and it is based on a novel. Not a light novel, not a manga, an actual book, which is why it's good.
I have to read a...
I only understand animes based on mangas. That's all I understand.
It's based on a literal book. And it's good, and it's the best sports thing of the entire season. It's even better than the KyoAni's thing.
Oh, yeah. But 5 seconds on the KyoAni this season.
Did you watch Free? This is Free, but with archery. It's not as good as the one about boys running. You should watch the one about boys running instead.
Okay. Banana Fish this year. What's up with that?
Andy, do you want to talk about Banana Fish?
I'll talk about it real quick. I'll just say that if you like if you're looking for a male-male relationship show, this is the one you've been waiting for. Unfortunately, Banana Fish is unfortunately it's hard to recommend because there's a lot of sexual assault. There's almost no women in this show. I think off the top of my head, Michael, I think I can think of 2 women who show up more than one episode. But other than
I can't even think of those. I don't even know who you're talking about.
It doesn't matter. But the point is that this show it just really tackles a lot of things like sexual assault, drug use, prison. It takes place in mostly New York City, Manhattan. It's hard because it's very, very in-depth with those things. So if you can't handle sexual assault, you can't handle the way it's shown. It's definitely shown as a traumatic experience in this show, but it's hard. It's difficult to watch, I'll say that.
Banana Fish is really gay. It's also really dark and really violent and really mature in all of its themes. If you want to watch it for the gay, I don't know, maybe watch, Bloom Into You instead, because that's a light, fun gay theme. But if you want to watch a really adult, mature gay thing, then watch Banana Fish, because that's what that is.
But also, the gay does happen very early in the series. Like, it's not like they run around it. It's very early that it starts.
Yeah, it's pretty explicit. It's like actual gay, not
anime. There's a kiss in, like, episode 2, I think.
It's really good.
Nice. Michael, final 1 minute on any other shows you want to bring up, good or bad.
Do you want to know what the worst anime is?
Yes.
Okay, so the worst anime
I thought it was Conception.
No, the worst anime is a tie between Ulysses and what is the name of the Syscon anime, Dylan? You'll have to remind me of. My Sister, My Rider. Okay,
Oh,
so
God.
which I'll start with My Sister, My Rider. My Sister, My Rider is a siscon anime. If no one knows what that is a main character falls in love with his little sister, or vice versa. It draws on such fantastic predecessors as Oreimo and Eromanga Sensei and all those sorts of incest animes that everyone loves to watch for some reason. I don't know why. But this one's just the worst. The animation quality is terrible. There's a lolly in here who's 20 years old just to make sure that, it's legal, but she still looks like a 10-year-old. So
She looks like a toddler.
She looks like a toddler, but she's supposed to be 20, so you can go do your thing with that. It's just the worst. Everything about it is lazy and terrible, and the people in it don't know that they're making just a bad anime. And the other contender is Ulysses, which features another 10-year-old girl who gains superpowers. Oh, by the way, based on Joan of Arc, real-life person who was actually really cool. And you should
sounds a little.
And you should really read about the actual real-life person Joan of Arc, because in this version they completely just ruin everything about her by having her be a little girl who gains superpowers by making out with a fully grown man.
Oh, God.
And by making out, I mean they show it, because there are shots of tongues.
Oh, God.
It is in a show which has a slime as a main character. It is the grossest, slimiest anime I've seen all.
Yeah, I think Michael made this one up. I haven't heard of this outside of
Dylan, I'm not convinced. Like,
that's good. You should.
Yeah, you should read Michael's review on the Ulysses one. It was very funny. This might not exist. I'm not sure. Anything else, Michael?
I think I've covered all.
Okay, we've covered it all. All the anime that's and if it's not covered here, check out Michael's article at overlyanimated.com.
All of the anime that's fit to watch, I've covered.
Yeah, we've also covered some stuff that's not fit to watch.
I've covered a lot of things that are not fit to watch.
Yeah, so potentially we'll be back at the end of the season, maybe, to revisit some of these shows. We will see how that turns out.
Depends. Some of them are 50 episodes long, so you know.
Yeah. We'll have regular check-ins with Andy on SAB. Don't worry about that.
I mean, I guess if we do this again for winter season, we can check back in on Andy, because that'll still be up.
That's true. Every season we'll come back to.
Since it's 50 episodes, we'll be here next year, and it'll just be wrapping up.
We'll see if Andy is still sane then.
I will not be. Spoiler alert, I will not be.
We'll get Andy's take on the finale of 50 episodes of SAO when we come back this time next season.
What the finale is just Kirito saves everybody, like 100%.
Okay, we couldn't help himself.
I hope it's him cutting down another tree, really, because that'll tie it all back together.
They called it the demon tree in the episode. The demon tree is going to come back. I'm just ready for it.
I hope the demon tree is the final boss. That would just be the bookend. The
fact that Andy can't help himself but continue to speculate proves to me that he loves this show.
No, the fact that there's a demon tree is nuts.
It's great. Okay, so let us know what your favorites have been this season. You can check the article out at overlyanimated.com. Click on it, the podcast thing, and you can leave comments there on Michael's article as well. If you're listening on YouTube, youtube.com/overlyanimated, you can leave comments there. Let us know what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying. Tell us your thoughts on Sao and why Andy is wrong. And it's
tell
fantastic.
me why it's okay to watch this show.
Yeah, please.
He
genuinely wants to know.
If you want some more hot takes, I have hot takes about all the favorite anime. Hey, all you Tokyo Ghoul re-fans, you're all wrong. It's a terrible adaptation of a terrible anime. Come fight me.
Okay, yeah, more on that in his article. Shots fired there. You can talk our anime channel on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord, if you want to talk about any of these shows, and you can support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Sam, aka Suitcase Sam, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. Check out other stuff at overlyanimated.com, including such pseudo animes as Ruby and Castlevania and I don't know. I have Ladybug, all kind of trying to be anime. Check all that out.
I guess Dragon Prince was an anime because you
Dragon Prince
it earlier. I don't know.
Yeah, Ruby has more yellow if you like that.
There are some new animes coming out about the Pacific Rims and the
Netflix ordered some anime in quotes, which were just American shows. So we'll find that at if we'll be talking about those with it, I guess. Pacific Rim adaptation. That's interesting. But yeah, all that at overlyanimated.com. Let us know what your thoughts of any of this, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Michael, for our hard work this season with all the anime.
See you again in 2 months, everyone.
Interesting. For more, anime never stops. Thanks for listening,
Never
guys.
stops.
We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.